What's up, guys? I'm going to rapid fire answer questions about protein powder. I'm Casey Barnes. I'm a kid's dietitian. You can find me at Mama Knows Nutrition on social media and my website, mamaknowsnutrition.com. The first question that I always get is, if you're making yourself a protein smoothie, a protein shake, can your little one have a sip of it? Usually, yes, that's usually completely fine. Them having a small serving of a protein powder is kind of the same as them eating a protein food, yogurt, milk, something like that, as long as they're not having a full serving. So usually a scoop of a protein like this, I really like this kind, in my smoothies, a full scoop of this is 20 or so grams. Let's see, this one is 25 grams in a full scoop. Your kid does not need that. It's all powdery. And I don't want them to have that much protein in one serving, because here's the other thing. A lot of people think that kids need a lot more protein than they actually do. If your kid is 40 pounds, they only need 20 grams of protein in the entire day. So you're taking their weight in pounds, divide it by 2, that's how much protein they need. So we don't really want to do that all in one serving for a couple reasons. Protein is very filling, and that's why when people go on a diet, they do a high protein diet, because it's filling, satisfying. You can get fewer calories in and still feel full. That's not what we want for growing kids. If you're looking to put weight on your kid, protein is in an excess is not the way to do it. Now, if their protein needs are around 20, 30, 40 grams of protein a day, can they go over that amount? Yeah, they can. However, once they get significantly over it, I don't really like to see that on a daily basis for a couple reasons, but my number one concern is them getting all the nutrients that they need in a day. And if they're going hard on protein, it's gonna be a lot harder to get in everything else they need, both from a nutrient perspective, but also just overall calories. When might a protein powder make sense for your kid? Say they don't really do much dairy. They don't like milk, they don't like cheese, they don't like yogurt, and you wanna get some protein in them, especially like a quick breakfast. That can be a time where it's gonna make sense. So if I'm making a smoothie for one of my kids, and say I'm making it with almond milk, which is very low in protein, fruit, and maybe a little bit of nut butter, I will add in a scoop of the Vital Proteins, because this is unflavored and it mixes in really easily. And there's no additives, no sweeteners.
And it's third-party tested, so I know it's safe and only contains what it says it does.
So especially for, say, like a toddler, if you want to get a little boost of protein, this is one that I like. 1 scoop is 9 grams of protein. So for a toddler, I probably wouldn't even use a full scoop. I might use a half or so of a scoop. For an older kid, like my kids are now 6 and 8, I will use 1 scoop of this, and that's gonna equal about the amount of protein they would have gotten from a cup of milk. Now, something like this is a more typical, what you're gonna see in terms of like a whey protein that has flavoring in it. It doesn't have sugar, but it does have, what does this one have? Stevia and monk fruit as sweeteners in there. Those are like hundreds of times sweeter than sugar itself. So I like to avoid artificial sweeteners for toddlers in general, because their tastes are still developing. I don't want them to get used to those super sweet flavors, super sweet tasting foods. So that's why I prefer to do like an unflavored one for kids. But that being said, now that my kids have tried my smoothies with this in it, they love it. So I will put in like a quarter of a scoop of something like this for the taste for an older kid. This is another one that I like. I actually usually will add this to my coffee in the morning if I am like running out the door and can't eat quite yet. This one has a vanilla flavor, and it's just the collagen peptides, natural flavor, and then monk fruit for sweetening. And again, for a kid, I would not use a full serving. There's just no need to. The ones that I showed you, these are all animal-based. These, are collagen, which comes from animals, and then this is a whey protein. So if you want to do a vegan protein powder, you absolutely can. There's nothing wrong with that. I just happen to like these, and this is what I have. If you do go for vegan, I prefer like a pea protein as the base of it. That's one that I just prefer in terms of plant-based proteins. So the bottom line is that they can get enough protein without protein powder, but it is a really convenient way to add some protein to foods, and I do use it from time to time. I will also sometimes add some of this into a bowl of oatmeal. Like my son just likes plain oatmeal, so I'll add a little bit of this in. Whereas for my daughter, I might add some hemp seeds, some nut butter, something like that, but he doesn't like that. So it's for sure a convenient and helpful tool. Just make sure that you're not going overboard on the protein, and make sure that you're getting it from a reputable brand, like one of the ones I mentioned here, or one that you know does third-party testing, usually something you can find in like a Whole Foods, place like that. Let me know in the comments if you have a protein powder question that I didn't answer, or a protein question in general. I'll link to a post that I have with a bunch of smoothie recipes that are great for little kids. And I'll also link to my Amazon shop that has some of these protein powders that I mentioned today.